né au Cameroun, j'ai joué à Puma Football Club et dans le canon de Yaoundé. Mon rêve a toujours été de voir une grande compétition se jouer sur le sol camerounais. Venez nombreux vivre les moments inédits du football africain.
Total African Nations Championship Cameroon 2020.
The first ordinary session as of right of regional councillors holds throughout the national territory. The presidents and executive bureau were plebiscited with Chief Dr. Atem Ebako and Fon Yakum Kevin Shomitang II of Bambalang becoming the first presidents of House of Chiefs in the Southwest and Northwest regions, respectively. That was our lone headline. Thanks for joining us on the 7:30 News. You're welcome.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Before we get to the news of the day, which is the holding of the first session as of right of regional councillors, let's begin with today's audience at Unity Palace. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, has received a special envoy from the President of Equatorial Guinea, His Excellency Teodoro Obiang Mambazogo. The Equatorial-Guinean Minister of State for Regional Integration, Balthazar Ngonga Ejo, was bearer of a sealed message. Charles Ebone has the details.
June 10, 2019 was the last time this Equatorial-Guinean top state official was here at the Unity Palace for an audience with President Paul Biya. This Tuesday, December 22 this year, the Equatorial-Guinean Minister of State for Regional Integration is once more dispatched by his President Teodoro Obiang Mambazogo to meet his Cameroonian counterpart, Paul Biya. The special envoy from Malabo, Balthazar Ngonga Ejo, goes through the COVID-19 sanitary checks permanently installed at the Unity Palace for the safety of all before he is ushered to the President's office by state protocol officials.
Monsieur Balthazar Ngonga Ejo, ministre d'État équato-guinéen en charge de l'intégration régionale.
Monsieur le ministre d'État, soyez
The audience between President Paul Biya and the special envoy of his Equatorial-Guinean counterpart, Teodoro Obiang Mambazogo, lasts for about 40 minutes. I am a bearer of a message from the Equatorial-Guinean president to his Cameroonian counterpart within the framework of their bilateral relations, which are also traditional since they all belong to the same community. Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea are confronted by common challenges which both countries traditionally seek pious solutions. President Paul Biya is the current CEMAC chair. With his peers, they are bound to concert on common challenges like economic difficulties, the sanitary crisis, and security issues. The Equatorial-Guinean Special Envoy departed from the Unity Palace with a glee of hope that Yaoundé and Malabo are on the same page for a collective regional integration, especially at this time when President Paul Biya is the chairman of the Economic and Monetary Community of Central African States, where both countries belong.
On to our running series on President Paul Biya's year, we spotlight one of the internal policy actions, which is the convening of the electoral colleges of the first regional council elections. The polls, which took place on December 6, complete the last electoral act for the decentralization process. Chief Unity Palace correspondent Ashunienti looks at the head of state decisions to fast-track decentralization in 2020.
One of the sacrosanct prerogatives of the head of state is to ensure the respect for the supreme law of the land, the Constitution. President Paul Biya has worked methodically and consistently to realize the prescription in the 1996 Constitution that Cameroon is a decentralized unitary state. Already, on the 31st of December 2017, he observed not without emphasis that
my conviction that our fellow citizens desire greater participation in managing their affairs, especially at the local level, has been strengthened by the consultations I have held.
That was not a mere observation though. It was a policy statement, and he has walked his talk. In 2020, bolstered by the recommendations of a major national dialogue, and in keeping with his desire to fast-track the decentralization process in Cameroon, the president has moved quickly to complete the second tier of the decentralized institutions, the regions. It is in this light that on September 7 this year, Paul Biya convened the electoral colleges for that history-making election of regional councillors. It took place on December 6. The management organs of the regions have also been elected this Tuesday. Before the election took place, the president made a special financial allocation to traditional rulers standing as candidates in the regional election. His action has also ushered in the special status to the Northwest and Southwest regions. As ordained at the national dialogue, the president's actions went beyond the elections to institutional support. In March this year, he created the National School of Local Administration, NASLA in BIYA, to help the local administrations to be beefed up with competent and qualified personnel. It is in the same context that on November 3, 2020, the president signed a decree reorganizing the National Decentralization Board, giving it more powers and widening its scope and membership to enable the structure be in a better position to midwife Cameroon's decentralized structures. President Paul Biya has not wavered one bit. He has been steadfast and determined while others played political ball. Thanks to his vision, Cameroonians know what regions are before leaving 2020.
As announced in our lone top story, presidents of regional councils have been elected in the first ordinary session as of right. And in the Northwest region, it is Professor Fruangwafo III who is at the helm of the institution. He will be assisted by Fon Yakum Kevin Shomitang II of Bambalang, who will head the House of Chiefs of the Northwest. Eric Langmia Wufu reports that their mandates has been placed on unity and solidarity.
He was elected by all the 70 divisional delegates and 20 traditional rulers in a session chaired by the eldest member, His Royal Highness Fon Yakum III of Mancon. The president-elect has vowed to bring everyone on board in the effort to reconstruct the Northwest region devastated by a 4-year socio-political crisis.
We need to focus our energy not on fighting the old and the past, but on building the new. A positive mind finds opportunity in everything. A negative mind finds faults in everything. Our primordial and permanent quest for peace needs a positive mindset.
We need frank and genuine collaboration from everybody to make sure that we bring peace to the Northwest region.
Gejun Awunti will be the Pioneer Commissioner for Economic Development. Dr. Saka Fondufe Lydia, Commissioner for Health and Social Development. Commissioner for Educational, Sports and Cultural Development, Dr. Angel Frumani Rose. The secretaries are Kalak Flavius Bote and Von Bambi III Matthias, while Jude Winding will be questor at the Regional Executive Bureau. Proceedings were supervised by the Governor of the Northwest Region, Adolphe Lele-Lafrique.
In the Southwest region, Bakoma Elango Zaccheaus is the president of the regional council. His vice, Chief Dr. Atemi Bako, will serve as the first ever president of the House of Chiefs of the region. The election was chaired by the eldest member, Chief Bernard Ebong Saleh, in the presence of Minister Delegate Felix Mbayu. Ombo Suzy Monjoa has the details.
Mr. Bakoma Elango Zaccheaus of Kumbawan in Meme Division was voted as the pioneer president of the Regional Assembly alongside the vice president, Chief Dr. Atemi Bako, traditional ruler of Talangai in Kupemwanenguba Division, and 6 other members who formed the executive bureau.
We have big plans for the Southwest province. Our priority will be roads. We all know that where road passes, development follows. So we think that if we have better roads than we have today, the Southwest will move mountains.
Through a list system, 88 out of the 89 councillors who were present unanimously voted for the sole list after the verification and validation of the quorum.
Particularly involved, one, the setting up of projects of development, but particularly also the setting up of local villages, communities, what we would call dialogue structures.
The representative of the state, Governor Bena Okalia Bilai, during the solemn and statutory inaugural opening of the session at the Boya Council, called for the councillors to exhibit patriotism, integrity, and work in the interest of the population. Also present were cabinet ministers of the Southwest region and top CPDM officials.
In the Centre region, one-time government delegate Gilbert Chimievuna won the confidence of the regional councillors voted in Yaoundé today. He has pledged to work as a team with his peers for the development of the region. Ebenezer Akanga was there and now reports.
It was in the Angola Samba Hall of the next building of the Yaoundé City Council that the first honorary session as of right of the Regional Council for the Centre held. It was opened by the governor of the Centre region, Nasri Paul Beyer. The opening speech was followed by a verification of the quorum and then designation of a provisional bureau made up of the eldest and youngest members of the council. Then came election time. Chimi Evuna Gilbert was nominated as the lone candidate for the post of president of the Regional Council for the Centre. From the results of the vote, he scored 100%.
We are proud to say that my party has designated the right people who will be at the helm of the council at the regional level, and they will conduct certainly the development of this region in line with the philosophy and the vision of the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya.
The 4 committees of the council were also constituted.
The election of Chief Bird Chimievuna to lead the regional council in the Centre region is no surprise to many Yaoundé city dwellers. His transformation of the town in the last 15 years as government delegate is testimony of his will to foster progress. Constantin Bom profiles the diligent worker.
Gilbert Chimievuna wears a new cap as the president of the Regional Council for the Centre region. A great comeback. Before this new responsibility, he had worked at the Ministry of Urban Development and then remained a household name in Yaoundé when he replaced late Nicolas Amougou as the government delegate in 2005 to 2020, a position he occupied for 15 years. He is a true catalyst for development. The modern Yaoundé we find today is thanks to him. The fight against anarchical construction was his top priority. It was just a question of putting into practice the law prohibiting construction in dangerous areas. The populations of Yaoundé 2 and Bankolo saw houses demolished. The exercise earned him the name Jack Boyle. He is a great architect. Yaoundé today has many green spaces, reclaimed and safe as touristic sites. During his reign, there was a desire to fight against unsanitary conditions in the market. He is a square peg in a square hole. Roadside markets were banned with a municipal police force created to pick up items of sellers who failed to comply with the law. The Fundi Canal that plays a role against floods in Yaoundé is thanks to him. All 90 regional councillors have confidence on him and in thanking them, exhorted all to work as a team so as to enable the Centre region loaded with potentials fully developed.
In Douala, the 10th election saw Polycarp Paul Banlock emerge as president of the Littoral Regional Council, and for once, a lady, Evelyn Pudingole, occupies the post of first vice president in all the 10 regions. Scholar Maloke reports that 89 councillors took part in the votes, and the winner swept 84 ballots.
Polycarp Paul Ballock was elected as the Pioneer Regional President by 84 of the 89 regional councillors present at the session, with a null vote and 4 abstentions recorded. The in-camera session that led to his election was chaired by the oldest councillor, His Majesty Albert Etotoke, and the youngest, Jean-Lionel Tubanjombi. Polycarp Paul Ballock assured his peers that they will work together to ensure the total implementation of the decentralization process. The other members to work with him include 2 vice presidents, 2 quaestors, and 2 secretaries. Members of the 4 commissions were also put in place. Of the 11-man executive elected this Tuesday were 3 women: Madame Pundingolene Sonop Epov Evelyn, first vice president, Madame Dedi Rebecca, second quaestor, and Madame Yaka Rose Yvette, head of the Administrative Affairs and Internal Regulation Commission. This Pioneer Regional Council session as of right was opened by Littoral's Governor Samuel Jodene Ivanhadiboa, who called on the councillors to be ambassadors of management by proximity.
In the North region, the serenity and maturity of the councillors were saluted as they plebiscited Alim Bukar as the pioneer president of the Executive Bureau of the Regional Council. Governor Jean Abatedi enjoined the voters to work for the sustainable development desired by the people. Luisa Akwanka Achato tells us more.
At 2:09 p.m. this Tuesday, December the 22nd, 2020, the name Alim Bukar became engraved onto the annals of the history of the North region as the pioneer president of the Executive Bureau of its Regional Council, a responsibility he affirms he is equipped and willing to shoulder.
I'm very happy and I'm very emotionalized for the opportunity which is given to us, to the whole team. We are willing to work for our region and we have the means. You have 70 people who are ready to do whatever is needed to do.
The council's first session as of right, which took place in the regional capital Garwa, equally saw the election of a 6-strong team comprising the first vice president Yaya Adamo, the vice president Yugoda Koiranga, 2 quaestors Amadou Abdullahi and Julian Atta, as well as 2 secretaries Abdullahi Boge and Claude Todo, for a 5-year mandate.
It's going to begin now. And I think we have work for the population, for local development, and I think we will be able.
The serenity and maturity which pervaded the landmark proceedings, piloted by the oldest councillor, His Majesty Aline Garga Hayatou, and the youngest, was praised by the governor of the North region, who represented the state at the session. Jean Abate Edi praised the regional councillors, including traditional rulers, for their wholehearted dedication towards the consolidation of this final phase of the decentralization process initiated by the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, a trait he urged should be kept alive to enable the region distinguish itself on the national scene in terms of performance in favor of the sustainable development the population yearns for.
And from the north, we'll take you to the west region, where Dr. Jules Hilaire Foka grabbed 68 of the 87 votes cast to become the leader of the Regional Council Bureau. He was the lone candidate of the CPDM and he is a former mayor of the Bafoussam 1 Council. Go Henry Tiesambe reports on the session supervised by Minister Louis-Paul Moutaze.
This is the pioneer president of the West Regional Council, Dr. Jules Hilaire Foka, the lone candidate, grabbed 68 of the 87 votes. He is the former mayor of the Bafoussam 1 Council and the section president of the Mifi Center section of the CPDM. The Bureau has as first vice president Julien Manjupe. By press time, the election of other members of the Pioneer Bureau of the West Regional Council was ongoing. The maiden session, as of right, was opened by the West Chief Executive, Awa Fonko Augustine. It was attended, among others, by the Special Envoy of the CPDM, Minister Louis-Paul Moutaze, and the National President of the CDU Party, Honorable Patricia Tomainondam Joya.
Now to other President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, has offered the sum of 600 million CFA francs to internally displaced persons and vulnerable groups in 4 divisions of the country. The distribution by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, began in the Center region. Beatrice Ngum reports that some 550 families have so far benefited from the assistance.
Close to 2,800 IDPs from 550 families, drawn from all subdivisions of the Mfundi, plus the elderly and orphans, are beneficiaries of this presidential aid. Humanitarian assistance comprised of foodstuff, mattresses, detergents, and lots more, coming from the head of state to enable them make merry this festive period.
It's a very strong relief package of 600 million francs that President Paul Biya has put at disposal. Kickoff is here in Yaoundé, but Menda will pick up Manfé, Kumba, and other places so that at least all the IDPs should remember that during the end of year festivities, President Paul Biya thought of them.
A commendable gesture, beneficiaries say.
I'm very, very happy for this gesture that our president has done to us. I will share to other IDPs so that they can enjoy the Christmas like any other Cameroonian.
Launching the distribution in the center, Territorial Administration Boss Paul Atanganji also distributed cartons of face masks to mayors as he called on them to champion the fight to roll back COVID-19 in the center region.
Elsewhere, the fight against child labor, human trafficking and modern-day slavery in Cameroon is being intensified. At a one-day workshop today, the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Gregoire Owona, laid out the priority actions to halt the vices. Luma Slim Davis has the details.
The culture of work is very present and obligatory in every society, but there are norms that have to be respected. Child labor, forced labor, and modern slavery are frowned against.
Next will be the action on the field. We will take measures to identify the site of modern slavery, of forced work, of child labor, and take action with all the actors like civil society, social partner, employers, and also with the family, because we know that the base of child labor is the family.
Sustained economic growth, durable and shared, as well as full-time productive work make up for decent work for all.
With the action of World Food Programme combined with the action of UNICEF, we will try to help the parents who are very poor to have something to eat so that their children will not go again to find labor.
Under the framework of Alliance 8.7, all vices not in conformity with decent work are condemned.
The Ethical Entrepreneurship Days to train young persons on job creation and wealth is underway in Yaoundé. It is organized by the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises on the theme, Doing Business in Times of Crisis. Iwane Pole reports that an exhibition of made-in-Cameroon products is also on the menu.
The 12th edition of the Ethical Entrepreneurship Days, holding at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex, is being organized under the chairmanship of the Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Social Economy and Handicraft.
We believe that by empowering them through the partnership that we have with this association, we will certainly promote young entrepreneurship in our country.
The 3-day event, which has as theme Doing Business in Times of Crisis, is marked by conferences with a series of training on entrepreneurship, practical workshops and trade exhibitions.
It's just a platform of promoting entrepreneurship in order to fight against poverty and unemployment.
The Ethical Entrepreneurship Days, JEG, has witnessed the award of diplomas to graduates of the School of Wealth Creation.
Now on to COVID-19 news.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Health professionals decry the non-respect of physical distancing, which accounts for the increasing number of infections in Cameroon. It is commonplace to find persons crowded in gatherings and shopping centers with no regard for the prescription. Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Joseph Fokam, say the importance of physical distancing cannot be undermined. They're live from the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Esther Kima. It remains one of those outlined barrier measures to limit the spread of the coronavirus, but unfortunately, more and more persons are stopped respecting this particular barrier measure, especially when they find themselves in different gatherings. We are talking about physical distancing with our guest tonight, Dr. Joseph Fokam. Good evening to you, Doc.
Good evening, Bowdy.
How important is physical distancing as one of these measures to limit the spread of COVID-19?
Effectively, Bowdy, to slow down the spread of coronavirus, the World Health Organization recommends at least 1 meter physical distances from people who are sick or those who are infected. However, in a context like Cameroon, where very few people go for testing, many of those who are sick or who are infected are not even aware that they carry these viruses. And generally, you can't easily see this by a direct physical look. And for this reason, we ask to consider everybody in the community, especially in this pandemic condition, to make sure you should respect these 1 meter distances from the others. This will greatly help in terms of reducing the spread of the virus. Moreover, even with these 1 meter physical distances, since coronavirus is a droplet transmitted viruses, it's also important to make sure you should have around you a hand sanitizer, and also, if possible, make sure if you are within your community, the household, you can also have a simple soap with water to always clean up your hands and making sure from at your own family level, you can spread the virus transmission during this key period.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Fokam, for being available as a guest this evening. We should respect our physical distancing wherever we find ourselves, especially in different gatherings. Back to you, Esther Kima.
Thanks, Baldwin. We hope that the 1 meter physical distancing will be respected, especially as an agro-pastoral show of the Central Region is underway with residents treated to affordable offers. The fair was opened today by the Minister Delegate to the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Clementine Ananga Messina. Gilbert Ongene tells us more.
Apart from being a platform for farmers to make business by selling their produce, agro-pastoral shows are also avenues for agro-pastoralists to find solutions to problems rocking their sector of activity.
When we come here, we create relationship and know each other. We discuss our problems and we find solutions.
Government, on its part, is paying keen attention on issues staring at farmers in the face.
Government has set up a specific program. They will be concentrated on short-cycle products.
With the advent of decentralization and the huge resources being transferred to councils, Clementine Ananga Messina insists producers ought to use this as an opportunity to fast-track development in rural areas. With the advent of decentralization and the huge resources being transferred to councils, Clementine Ananga Messina insists producers ought to use this as an opportunity to fast-track development in rural areas.
We now move on to this advertorial where Sonatrol has held its board meeting. We will be having the details from the littoral region with our reporter, Mercy Ashu.
When 3 new transformers with the capacity to transport 60 megavolts come in handy to replace 35 megavolts at the Logbaba power station in Douala 3, then it's probably good news from Sonatrol to the population of the littoral, the southwest and west regions of Cameroon. Certainly so, because the Logbaba power station is the principal distributor of electricity. As the Director General of Sonatrol, Victor Mbemi Nyakna, puts it, the new dispensation will boost energy supply from 210 megavolts to 285 megavolts, which is good news for households and economic operators.
The capacity of the Logbaba substation has been upgraded from 220 MVA to 285 MVA, which means that we have an additional capacity of 75 MVA, which is very conducive for the situation of our economic capital, which is Douala. You know, businessmen, men, and even the population used to have problem of electricity cut. With this investment that has been recommended by the head of state, we think that the population will feel at ease in Douala.
With major international sporting rendezvous like the AFCON and CHAN competitions around the corner, there is hope that the power cuts in the city of Douala will reduce considerably in the days ahead.
And that will be all for this edition of the 7:30 News, in which you heard that the first ordinary session as of right of regional councillors has taken place throughout the national territory. The presidents and executive bureaus have been plebiscited, with Chief Dr. Atemi Bako and Kevin Fomitang Fon of Bambalang becoming the first presidents of the House of Chiefs in the Southwest and in the Northwest regions, respectively. In our subsequent newscast, we will be giving you details of the elections in other regions. More news comes up at 8:30 p.m. with Rumia Chwese. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. God willing. Stay tuned to our programs on CRTV and on CRTV News. Good night.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
Da 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 da.